Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. Hey, it's my face for the first time in a very long time, right? So today I wanted to, I've been thinking lately about, hold on, let me start over here. Okay. I've been thinking a lot. I'm going to talk about Ludy Lescot today. I've been thinking about lately how we as a tarot society, we spend a lot of time talking about unboxings, first impressions, showing off our collections in different contexts, Sorry, I'm doing a lot of weird stuff to try to make the light better, but this is not staying where I put it, so whatever. Maybe I'll adjust it a little this way. Is it better? Who knows? I'm in my car, as you can tell. And I want to go deeper. I want more 800th impressions, or this is my experience with working with this deck for the last, I've had it for however many years or whatever. Can you see that I'm sweating? It's hot. Yeah, so this is a knockoff Ludy Lescot, because, it's out of print. And I wanted to talk about sort of the actual vibe of this deck. The vibe of this deck is your childhood will be lost. There is, vampirism in this deck is a metaphor for rape. And these are all my impressions, obviously. You might have a different, if you use Ludy Lescot and you like it and it doesn't creep you out, this might not be a good video for you to watch, because I don't want you to start being creeped out by something that doesn't previously creep you out. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that to you. So just stop watching if Ludy Lescot is one of your favorites and you love it and you're not creeped out by it. I am creeped out by it. I think for now, just because it's out of print and this is just a knockoff, I'm going to keep it because I want to push against the feelings of creepiness just to see how it goes. But I wanted to show you what the vibe is in this deck is men are either vampires or rapists or both. There's this sort of, and women are victims that have to learn to choose the lesser of two evils. So what I mean by this, most of the women that are in positions of power, so here's the Empress, look distracted, bored, upset. This one, she looks anxious, like she's looking over her shoulder, And if we put them next to each other, the Emperor and Empress, he's looking at her with some ownership, But also, I could be placing that meaning upon it because they don't look like they're in the same space necessarily. Yeah, because he's outside and she's inside. So she's queen of the household and he's queen of the kingdom, Yeah, I just said he's queen of the kingdom. I didn't mean to say that, but also, why is there a pope in this deck? There doesn't need to be a pope in Ludy Lescot. Then there are a lot of images like this where, okay, again, this is all what I see. I'm going to stop trying to preface it with that. But we have a lot of images like this in the deck wherein there's a person in shadow in the background. You don't know if that person is coming for her or running away from her. There's a lot of moments of did we just see this person get raped? In most cases, it's a person that has just been victimized by a vampire. They'll be shown with a cross in their hand, like they were trying to defend themselves, but it failed. And there's this sort of like push and pull between like victimization and ecstasy, which I think is very dangerous. I mean, it's dangerous to portray all women as victims anyway. And yeah, Justice, even like she has the scales, but there are these two wolves in the background that you get the idea that they're, again, another metaphor for men. In this deck, men are rapists, but women gently acquiesce to them anyway. It's like, we have to. You know, there's this vibe of like, you have to figure out how to navigate because you're prey and they're predator. Like in this case, it looks like, this is a very heteronormative, white, young deck, like most Los Scarabeo decks are, right? So in this case, it looks like we're seeing a woman's hands freeing this man. And all men are evil in this deck, so I don't know why she's freeing him. In this case, you see death in the background. And you see it, death in the background with like this procession of people. And somehow she's escaped death while being in the cemetery. That's nice, actually. That's nice. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, both of these dudes do not look like a good choice. And this is kind of like exemplifying the deck, the vibe of this deck. The vibe of this deck is, yeah, like I said, you have to gently acquiesce. Let me find some others that, and then there's this. This one's interesting because she's jumping off the tower on purpose. But of course she is, because her whole life has been about imprisonment and rape. And, you know, the women in this deck are victims. So this is one moment where she's actually taking her life into her own hands. And it's right before she fucking dies, you know? It's awful. Okay. Here again, we have, to me, this looks like, this one's kind of interesting because we have, instead of like some dude coming up in the background to save her, like to me, it looks like this guy just victimized her. And these birds are coming in through the stained glass windows to save her. The birds are her angels. This is the fucking Sun card. And we're getting like after, I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to see it as rape, but hasn't vampirism always to a certain extent been an allegory for rape? I mean, in more modern times, it hasn't always been an allegory for literal rape. But in, you know, the early vampire like novels and movies, it was, you know, it was always like the woman being the helpless victim. I love this card as a judgment card, but it doesn't make sense in this deck, right? This is like a Matrix judgment card or something, which I love, but anyway. The aces are all pretty cool because they're consistent, and that's something that I really love about a tarot deck is if their aces are consistent. But, I mean, look how... it's, again, I feel this sort of like begrudging acquiescence. These two look a little bit more badass. Here we have like dreaming of a world that you could never be a part of, that you'll never really be able to be a part of because you're just a lowly woman. I'm not going to show you everything, but just like the ones that I have specific. Why is this Three of Cups so fucking sad? Why? Why is it so sad? At least she's got a little bird companion, but the bird is eating her grapes. Anyway. Oh, this Three of Swords. Like, this is a person in the aftermath, not only of being victimized herself, but her children were killed. So this is very much, I mean, if you like the vibe of like, I've just been victimized by a vampire, there's some shit that you could work through using this deck. it could definitely be used in, you know, a shadow work sort of context because it's so difficult. It's so difficult to process what's going on because it's awful. Sorry. Trying to like make the light better, but it's not gonna happen unless I could put that on the visor. Is that better? Okay, so this is one of the ones, like, this is 4 of Wands. So to me, this is leading someone. She's leading someone to the bed chamber, right? But she doesn't look okay. She looks like, okay, this is what I have to do now. I have to, you know, I have to give my king an heir. So here we go. Let's go to the bed chamber. This one is dealing with, you know, the loss of a person that's written to her, left her. I don't know. So it's like, yeah, that's just not going to stay up. Whatever. So it's, and then she's lost someone in battle and she's bleeding out for them. So it's like the women in this deck love men begrudgingly, but also it's a very, very fucked up kind of love. You know, this is a Lana Del Rey kind of love. You know what I mean? And this guy, ugh, all the guys in this deck are awful. Of course, the 5 of Wands scenario is like, the more you struggle, the harder it's gonna be for you. So you might as well just stop struggling, honey. Oh, this is another one. Like, to me, this is she's just been raped. The guy's running away in the background. She's just been raped. 5 of Cups. Yeah. It's awful. Almost every single card in this deck is awful. This 6 of Wands, to me, is like, she's got all these pictures on the wall. It's like, this is her legacy. This reminds me of the same woman that's in the Chariot card. So let me pull that one up again. Oh, I've got them all out of order. What happened? Where's that Chariot card? Did I show it to you? I don't know. Hold please while I look for the Chariot card forever. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. Did I drop it? Okay, never mind. Whatever. If we find it again, we find it again. Cool. Yeah, I don't know where it is. It's gone now. It's probably on the floor of my car somewhere and I can't see it at the moment. Okay, anyway, this reminds me of the Chariot card. Get out your own, Ludy Lescot. Because this to me looks like she's descending the stairs. She's getting ready to get into the chariot to be taken to, I almost said burial chamber, to her burial chamber, which is a marriage, you know? It's like you have a choice in this deck. You can, I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, but you can gently acquiesce to a guy that's going to expect sex whenever he wants it, that's going to treat you like property, that you're going to have to take care of his household, etc., etc. Or you can get turned into a vampire by some other rapey dude. Those are your choices in this world. And both of your choices fucking suck. This 6 of Cups, I mean, yeah, creepy clown, whatever, but this is sort of like your childhood is mocking you. You'll never get it back. You're damaged forever. Right? Let me get this one random dude that doesn't really fit in with anything in this deck. Okay, cool. This one. Okay, I have some shit to say about this. 7 of Cups. I don't know how it fits into a 7 of Cups. Again, it's just like all the choices in front of you suck. That's the Seven of Cups. That's what this message is. All of your choices suck. So you can see that she's very upset and disheveled, like everyone in this deck. And the mirror behind her is showing, I don't know if this is, it looks really blurry. So hopefully it actually looks better than I think it does. I don't know. But so you can see in her reflection, she's a skeleton and someone's walking towards her. So what we're getting here is like, it doesn't matter. Her life is already over. It doesn't matter what choices she makes now. This entire deck is very apathetic. It's like you're beyond damaged. There's nothing you can do. Then this Seven of Pentacles, you know, again, looking in a mirror, like, what has my life become? This one is one of the only hopeful cards in this deck. This Eight of Wands, I mean, there's all these. She's ascending the steps of a basement that she's been trapped in for who knows how many years. You know, she looks kind of emaciated. There are all these like little skulls under the stairs. This looks hopeful. Like she might get out. She might. Another one, like this guy, do you see how he's kind of like not at all trustworthy? Can you tell? Can you tell that he's not trustworthy? I feel like this is not focusing. But anyway, this again looks like another, there's so many instances in this deck of like, I just got married, I have to acquiesce to this new life of being a wife. That's what this looks like to me. He's taking her home, Eight of Cups. But one way that you could choose to see this, maybe she's about to drop his hand and turn around and run, which would be the real Eight of Cups, right? This is not her walking away from something, but maybe it's the moment right before she walks away, you know? I don't get any sort of like empowerment in this deck. There's none. You know, every single card is an Eight of Swords, right? And this one, Eight of Pentacles. She almost looks like she could be pregnant and she's sewing, and the guy's in the background. It's always like this, like, dude, the specter of a dude in the background. Every single decision that is made by the women in Ludy Lescot is with the shadow of a dude, and sometimes the shadow of a wolf. In this situation, it's like, okay, she's got all these canes here, so maybe, and she's in a cemetery, so maybe she has killed many men that have wronged her. Maybe she has. But there's still this lurking black wolf in the background. Like, she's gonna have to pay for what she's done, because in her world, women don't get to take action. And this Nine of Cups, like, this guy is like victorious over the fact that he just raped and killed this woman in the background. I'm sorry I keep saying raped, because maybe it shouldn't be thought of that way, but that's the way that I'm seeing it. In this scenario, the Nine of Swords, like, she has a cross, so she had a means to try to defend herself, but she failed. She failed. And this looks like the same dress as the Chariot card. Oh, I think I see the Chariot. I somehow put it on the bottom. Okay. Yes. There it is. Because I started recording this video, and then I realized that I didn't have a good angle, so I started it over. Okay. So you see how she is, I don't think I showed it in this video, but she is not happy about her future, but she's allowing herself to be taken to it, you know? And here, it looks like the same dress. It's not really the same woman, but it looks like it's the same dress. So you could see it as the same woman. And she has a cross, so she's tried to defend herself, but she has the bite marks, so she could be dead. In fact, she could be the dead woman right here. This is my favorite card in the deck. So working with this deck it's difficult, you know? When I flip through it, when I'm just looking at it and flipping through it, I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. This is upsetting. Maybe I can work with this. But the actual practice of working with it is just awful. The one time, possibly the one time in this entire deck that we see a man slain, she's so upset about it. She's so upset about it. No one is upset when the women are slain in this deck. They're victorious. They're victorious when the women are slain in this deck. And she is upset. Anyway. I'm just looking through. Is there anything? The pages are all dudes in this deck, and they seem somewhat trustworthy. Like, they're not terrible. The knights as well, they seem okay, I guess. Here are all the knights. Kind of chivalrous a little. That's the best that you can hope for in the men, with the men in this deck, is that they might be a little bit chivalrous before they rape you. This is a queen, the Queen of Wands. The queens and kings do not look like they're in the same space. Like, ever, really. They have different types of thrones. This is the Queen and King of Cups. They have different thrones, and they're in different spaces. This Queen of Swords, I mean, she just looks absolutely defeated. A Queen of Swords should never look defeated. She's the defeater. So, yeah. Anyway, this is just me. I don't know if I'm starting a new series or not, or what. King and Queen of Pentacles here. This is really, I think I didn't show this in this video, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. I think it was the other time that I tried to record this. This is like really the only instance in the entire deck that we see a woman that is taking charge. And it could also be seen that she's a wild woman, that she needs to be tamed. So how do I feel about this deck? Anyway, so what is the point? What is the point of all of this? The point is, I might want to try to take out old decks that I've worked with long enough that I know their personality. I'm not just flipping through them and going, oh, that's interesting, that's interesting. I feel like a lot of us have gotten so caught up in the collecting of decks that we have forgotten to, it's like we're stuck in that first stage, right? Of like, we've acquired a new thing, we've looked through it, it's interesting, we're trying to do readings with it, maybe, but then we get distracted by something else. And a lot of the times when I'm including myself in this too. This is a problem that I have too, as well, that I'd like to get past. You know, it's why depth year exists, because people want to go deeper with the things that they have instead of just buying more and more things, right? There's a reason for that. It's because we as a society in general are not going deep anymore with a lot of things. So I would like to go deeper. That's it. I want to go deeper. I feel like sometimes when I'm watching people's like different hashtags, different VRs, it's just different creative ways to show off our decks, right? Which is fine. Those are really fun decks to do, really fun videos to do. Do what you got to do to get through the day, seriously. But a lot of the times I'm seeing people say the same thing that they said when they first got the deck, you know? And I've done that myself. Like, where you're, you know, your first impressions end up being your only impressions because you kind of looked through it, you kind of tried to do a couple readings with it, and then you put it away. And we're not coming back to update those impressions a lot of the time. It's like, yeah. So I'm here to tell you, Ludy Lescot, it's out of print. So if you don't have it, you might not need it, because it is really, really confronting, but it doesn't have any messages of hope within it. So it's like, I don't think it's productively confronting. I think it's just, this is how it is, guys. This is how it has to be. And it could be used in a good context for somebody that really needs that sort of tough love, that really sort of needs to look at their situation and realize that they're in a victimization role in their lives. So it could be a good mirror for someone that's in the middle of that, that's still in their Lana Del Rey phase in life, you know what I mean? But is it good for everyday readings? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And for people that have just been through trauma with men in their lives, particularly like how I'm seeing this just personally in my own life is like when you grow up goth, and you're about my age, like the era of goth when I grew up was very influenced by Marilyn Manson. And as we all now know, Marilyn Manson is an awful human being. He's the exact guy in this deck. And there were so many goth dudes like that. There were so many people that were attracted, so many men that were attracted to the gothic subculture because of the opportunity to victimize women. And of course, I'm speaking from a very heteronormative place, but that is the experience that I had, and that's the experience that I saw happen over and over again. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest. I saw, there were like 5 to 10 goth boys in town. Less than 10, maybe more than 5. And the majority of them, if not all, like the ones I'm thinking of right now, were real rapey dudes. They were. And so this deck definitely reflects a reality for sure. Like it's not a nothing tarot deck. It's reflecting something. It's reflecting something that's really hard to see. And I don't know how useful it is. And it's definitely one of those decks that when I get it out to try to use it for like daily draws or readings or whatever, I very often get angry and have to put it away immediately, because I'm just like, I'm past this, I'm not at this point anymore. But if you're a person that can look at this imagery and see and confront the really shitty situations that the women in this deck find themselves in, and if you identify with it and are able to confront it, and this deck helps you confront it, great. Find a knockoff. You don't have to feel bad for buying a knockoff when a deck is out of print. Find a knockoff, and you can get it for a reasonable price, and there you go. That's it. But I want to start in general just going deeper with decks. This is the Wheel of Fortune. Coming back to talk to you about how I actually experience tarot instead of just, this is what I thought about this imagery when I bought it. Okay, cool. Like recently I looked up, I don't have this deck anymore, but I looked up earlier today, I looked up White Newman Tarot because I was like, I just completely forgot about it. Like I was obsessed with it when it first came out for like a month or two. Then it sort of like sat unused for a few months, then it went into my purgatory, and then it was gone. I don't even remember what I did with it. And so I was thinking about it again. It just kind of like, I was looking through my archives because I scan in my tarot decks with a photo scanner. So all the decks that I've gotten rid of, for the most part, I have the imagery. So I can go back and look at it and remind myself of why I don't want it again and that kind of thing. So I was looking at my White Newman, and then I decided to look it up on YouTube. And there doesn't seem to be, I didn't spend like a ton of time, but I just looked up White Newman Tarot and scrolled through the first few scrolls and until I started getting things that weren't White Newman. And everything was from a year ago, which is when it first came out. Everything is first impressions, unboxings. No one has come back to tell us what they really think about it. And some of that is because we as a society, just in general, not just tarot, but we as a society, you like my little pusheen? We as a society just aren't really going deep that often anymore. That's a big part of it. But also the things that are being made that we are buying aren't necessarily designed to go deep anymore. It's like, okay, cool. This is pretty. This is really pretty art style. This is interesting depictions of tarot. Okay, cool. And then you forget about it. And it's because we have such an overstimulating world, right? It's not necessarily an individual deck's fault that it's not getting, attention. But it's a worthy question to ask. Like, what are we paying attention to? Our attention is our most valuable asset to anyone on the internet, right? That wants our attention. I don't know what I'm saying except that I've been craving to be able to go deeper with things, and it's hard to find content of going deep because, and I don't think I necessarily provided it just now, because even with this, what is it really? It's sort of a fifth impressions, because I've had this deck for 6 months, not quite 5 months. So, and I haven't used it that much, honestly, because I get it out and then I get mad at it and put it back. That's the experience of using this deck. And I had a copy that I bought on eBay, and it was very, very heavily used. And it, I'd done all the things to cleanse it because it needed it. And it had that juju in it, that the person that used it a lot before it was in my hands was not okay. And I hope that this deck was helping them work through something. And I hope that they ejected it from their life as soon as they were done with it. And that's how I ended up with it. But I don't know the story. And it felt heavy, it was heavy. It had so much anguish in it. Whereas this knockoff copy does not, because it was new when I got it. It doesn't have that anguish in it besides just the general anguish of the imagery in the deck. Yeah, it's interesting how quickly and now I'm just babbling. It's interesting how quickly I am going back to, I'm starting to become mystical, I'm starting to allow myself to, I just edited my my tarot shop, which is mixtrestarot.store.company, because that was the free domain name that I could get for my new shop. I was revamping it last night and choosing a theme and choosing fonts and choosing what to put as a header, and I decided my header was psychic readings. I'm owning it now. Like, I'm letting myself admit that there's something mystical about tarot. And because I have a psychology background, I grew up like with a new age mom, Baptist grandparents. So I would go to church, but because of my grandparents, I would go to church. But yeah, anyway, what was my point? I just got a cavity filled. I didn't have to be numb though, guys. So that's why I'm not drooling out the side of my mouth right now. But my jaw kind of hurts and it's lunchtime. So I'm just going to shut up now. I don't know what I'm talking about, except that I feel like the content, I don't know if the content on my channel is really going to change that much, but I almost don't want to do a lot more like, you know, flip throughs and unboxings and first impressions. But at the same time, I'm going to be getting new decks and I'm going to want to share those first impressions. But I want that to be the beginning of a conversation about those decks. I want to come back and let you know how I really feel about them. I want to do a video. I want to do a last impressions for the ones that I let go of. But I can't promise that I'll do that because a lot of the time when it's got to go now. And I don't necessarily want to make a video, you know? Anyway, so what do you guys think about going deep with tarot? What do you guys think about Ludy Lescot? Did you get real rapey vibes from it? I should have had a trigger warning on this video. Maybe I'll put it in the title. That way I don't have to edit the video. Okay. Love you guys. I'm going to shut up now because this is 36 minutes of my face, which is real freaky to me because I'm only wearing, some glitter on my eyes and, mascara, and that's it. Which is just to say, I feel self-conscious. Anyway, love you guys.